get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here. It's a big show tonight, because on the line with me right now to help me out with the 5th annual Buffoon of the Year competition. It's selection show time, folks. Matt Fairley, our grand poobah of buffoonery, is on the line. Matt, you there, pal?
Yes, sir, I am here. I am happy, and I am ready to dispense some buffoonish wisdom about buffoonish people.
It's going to be a very, very happy show for us, man. For those of you who are uninitiated or uninformed about Buffoon of the Year, here's the deal. We pick the top 16 buffoons from the year. And what we do is we put them in a bracket, tournament style, and we say, okay, America, who you got? Who is the biggest buffoon of the year? And we eliminate it down from 16 to 8 to 4 to 2. And there you have it. We get the buffoon of the year by the time the first show of the new year comes around. Matt, you ready to rock this thing or what?
Oh, this is the most wonderful time of the year. It's not about Santa. It's not about the gifts. It's about determining scientifically, through the vote of the people, the will of the people, who has brought us the most buffoonishness of 2015. I mean, what could be more exciting and more fun than that?
You know, you're right. It is the most wonderful time of year, but let's not neglect the hours and hours of scientific research that went into this whole idea of how do we measure what a buffoon is. Matt, you spent months.
Yes. This is a very exciting time for the cutting-edge science of buffoonology, in that we have finally put together a unit of measurement and a scale with which we can determine the internal buffoonishness of the people around us, and a measurement for which we can use to quantify the buffoonishness of their actions. It's very exciting to have this before us, because now we can really take buffoonery and buffoonology into areas that were, hitherto unknown to us. And we all have one very,
that we
very
can only
important
dream
man
of.
to thank for that.
Yes, we do have an important man to thank for that.
Yes, and that's the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The end-all and be-all.
Yes, as anyone who knows and has seen the blog and has followed the exploits of this station, the Reverend Al is the buffoon of all time. He is the first and only perfect 100 on what we are going to now refer to as the Sharpton scale, a scale for which you can measure the buffoonishness of people.
It's a glorious time to be alive, Matt. Now that we now have this quantifiable method, dare I even say scientific method, of determining, measuring buffoonery. And it's all thanks to you and what we call the Sharpton scale. Explain to people, first of all, there's two things we got to talk about. First is the Sharpton scale, and then there is the unit of measurement that we are now calling the Sharpton when measuring buffoonery. First, let's talk about the scale.
Yes.
We're talking about a limited scale, 0 to 100, right?
Yes. Like anything, like any good science, you need to have a unit of measure so that you can use for comparison, so that you can quantify how much more buffoonish one person is than another. So we devised, a scale, but the problem with the scale is you need to make it believable. You need to make it interpretable so that the average person can look at it and say, oh, I understand. So we took as our lodestar the Reverend Al Sharpton, because, as we all know, there is no bigger buffoon. So we put him as the perfect 100, the omega of our scale, so that anywhere you get below 100, you know just that much less buffoonish you are than the good Reverend Al. And then we can make comparisons between people.
All right, so now, if Al Sharpton is the uber buffoon, the lodestar, as you put it.
Yes.
Who would be the other end of it? Who would be the antithesis, the anti-Sharpton, if you will?
Well, the anti-Sharpton, those people who are pure, those people whose every action was good and noble. Jesus, Gandhi, Weird Al. Good, normal, hearty people.
Okay, so now let's get a little personal.
Where do you fall in between those two measures? And that is where the science comes in.
Yes, and this is where we say thank you to Matt Fairley and all the great work that he did. Getting a round of applause from our studio audience here. And, Matt, we thank you for all the work you did, but let's put these methods to the test. And that is by... Well, before we put the methods to the test, I'm going to tease it a little bit more. The Sharpton, the unit of measure that you've come up with.
Yeah. Well,
this is now beyond limits, right?
This is beyond limits. This is an infinite scale. As we talk about science, and we are, if nothing else, men of science here, at the men and women of science, at the Behind Enemy Lines Institute for the Enhancement of Buffoonology. We have another name for it, but I won't use it on here because we don't need to give that guy any more publicity.
Yes, the acronym. It's in our article that Matt wrote at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. There's a special menu option called the Sharpton Scale. Knowledge is power, people. Check it out right now.
Yeah. But as we were saying, is that, some people are just buffoons, and everything they do is buffoonish. But there are, even those of us that don't score very high on the, on the Sharpton scale can do some pretty buffoonish things. And so we have found a unit of measurement that we're going to call the Sharpton that will measure how buffoonish an action is. The more buffoonish your action is, the higher your Sharpton score. The more Sharptons you will receive. And like I said, there is no upper limit here. I mean, we've seen some pretty buffoonish things, but I'm a believer in possibilities. I have hope. And I have hope that someday we will see something so buffoonish that it just sets the chart even higher. I have a dream.
We want to see someone bury the needle.
No, I don't want to see someone bury the needle. I want to see someone take the needle and break it off.
This is so much fun, man. This is what I live for this show. Yes, the interviews are awesome. Meeting people like Ted Cruz is great. But we're actually promoting some good here by pointing out the faults in others in a way that educates and empowers the nation and the world, dare I say, to be able to correct behavior and stop this epidemic of buffoonery, not only in politics, but in our everyday lives.
And that's really the point of this. I mean, science is for the betterment of mankind. And so we have developed this science of buffoonology, or we could call it Sharptonology if you like. I prefer buffoonology because, it's a little bit more accessible as a way that people can use it to evaluate their circumstances, evaluate other people, and decide which ones are the fools that deserve to be pitied, which ones are the ass-backwards people that deserve to be voted out of office, which are the people you just want to plain avoid.
And you know what? I don't know if we've teased it enough yet, but in the chat room we have at www.behindenemylinesradio.us on our Listen Live page, they're demanding the brackets. But before we get to the brackets, because I want to tease it a little more, I want to talk about who didn't make the brackets. Who didn't make it into the top 16? The salacious 16, as we're calling it. Matt, there are going to be some names on here that people are going to be very surprised about.
It was a very tough year. There were some really hard cuts. It's like Selection Sunday in March when every school is going to say, no, we're good enough. No, we're good enough to play for the championship. But, sometimes you just have to make a cut. The most obvious one that, is in the news a lot here in New York, Sheldon Silver. The Speaker of the New York State Assembly for 20 years, convicted on 7 counts of fraud. 7 counts. He's facing 130 years in prison. He did not make the list.
Because, and let's say it right now, there's 2 reasons why. A, because he is currently newsworthy, he would have been the sunshine that would have cast a shadow on every other buffoon who worked so hard this year. And secondly, the act of buffoonery is probably greater than the buffoonery of the man himself. Like, Matt, the 7-count conviction and the acts that he committed, where would that fall on the unit of measurement to Sharpton? How many Sharptons would that be?
I'm going to give this about 3 mega Sharptons. I mean, it's pretty high up there. I mean, he was convicted on 7 different counts of fraud involving misappropriation of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. But the thing is, as a person, Sheldon Silver is probably the most boring politician that has ever existed. He never says anything buffoonish. Frankly, he never says anything. I don't think anyone in New York could actually identify his speaking voice. And he's been in charge of the state for 20 years. So, I mean, it's about that balance it's about that balance of, the internal buffoonishness of the person with the buffoonish acts that they have put forth.
Absolutely.
And on one end of the scale, Sheldon Silver just doesn't really rate.
Another name that's left off glaringly to some is the man himself, Al Sharpton. Why was he left off the list, Matt?
Well, first of all, at some point you just have to retire the number. At some point you just have to say, you know what, we have to put you out to stud. We have to put you away. It's just not fair for everyone else anymore. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is with the Reverend Al. I mean, he's clearly operating at a level that just blows everyone else away. But at the same time, it was a very quiet year for him. He's not running for office anywhere. He's managed to at least not show up at any of the controversies that have been going on, or at least if he has shown up, no one's cared, which is actually a really good thing for America. So it's been a quiet year for him. So, I mean, it's a combination of the fact that, as a veteran, he's just, you got to keep him out of competition. But also, it was a bit of a quiet year for him. It was, he wasn't really that controversial this year. Just, more his standard bumbling grandpa act that he's got going on these days.
Absolutely. And actually what we did here this year is we created a special honorarium for the Reverend Al, which we'll get to after the selection show, which we're going to do right now. Enough waiting.
Bring it.
Let's unveil the brackets. You ready for this, Matt?
I'm ready. Start it off.
No. I want to know, are you ready?
Bitch, I was born ready.
All right, here we go. Folks, as you know, this is a tournament-style bracket. It's broken up into 4 categories. Category A, bracket A, media buffoons. This was a very, very tough pick. In this bracket...
Not a shortage of candidates.
Oh, the personalities and the shows out there, they fought hard this year, let me tell you. But we found 4, some no-brainers, some possibly controversial to some. Yeah. So in the first matchup, we have NBC's own Brian Williams, the man who's been there and done that everywhere in history, versus the ladies of The View. Sleepy, Dopey, Bashful, Doc, I don't even know their names anymore. They switch them out so often. Matt handicapped this one for us. You got the man who says everything's been there, done that, versus the ladies that will stoop to no limit to shame everything conservative.
Hey, this is an interesting matchup. On one hand, you have Mr. Williams, who has to be looked at as like a buffoon butterfly. We didn't know he had it in him. He'd been lying for so long. But then once you found out all the lies he said and all the things he made up over the years, you look back like, wow, this man's been a buffoon for decades, and we never knew. And this is the year he came out of his cocoon and let his buffoon flag fly. Versus, on the other end, you have the veterans, The View. You have a show that has just had it surprises me, almost 20-year record of just consistently saying really, really outlandish things. But that's the thing. You have experience versus a newcomer, and that's what we're looking down here. Is it the flash of the newcomer versus the experience of the ladies who just don't know when to shut up?
Well, here's the thing about the ladies that don't know when to shut up. It's an ever-evolving lineup. It's not the same 4 or 5 people for the 20 years. They bring them in and out. They have different leadership, different roles, different personalities.
It's been a tough year for them.
All buffoons.
It's been a tough year for them. They haven't been able to find their footing. But in any other media organization, that would be a negative. But here in the Buffoonological Institute, the fact that you can't tell your ass from a hole in the ground only gets your score higher.
So there you go. There's matchup number one. Tough to top that matchup. But then we have the other half of the bracket, and this is all about presidential debates and presidential politics, folks. We have the CNBC debate moderators, John Harwood, Quintanilla, whatever his name was, and the other one, the woman. No offense to the woman, but I just don't know your name. Versus Megyn Kelly? Matt, did we lose our senses here?
I look at this, of all the matchups we're going to talk about here, I kind of look at this as the biggest mismatch on the board. Megyn Kelly, a lot of people took offense to the way she treated Donald Trump during the Fox debate. I wasn't one of them. I thought she was asking a fair question. But she got a groundswell of popular support for her buffoonery from the masses, and that's something you got to respect. You got to respect the voice of the masses. And while I don't necessarily see it, hey, I'm a man of the people. But on the other end, you have the debate moderators from CNBC. And anyone who watched that debate knows that was pretty much the ad for don't do this. That debate was a train wreck with the flame so high that it shouts as a signal to others, do not do this.
So is this once again a case of not so much buffoonish on the scale, but the actions are high up there in measuring the in terms of sharpness?
This is going to be, where you think, how many sharpens each one gets, how many giga sharpens, how many mega sharpens you think each one gets. I know what my position is. The debate moderators at CNBC were about as organized as an Italian parliament. Not something you see running well very often. But Megyn Kelly...
An Italian parliament or an Irish pub, whatever you want to pick there. Racist.
Yeah, I was trying to, be nice about that because, I'm part Irish. So, who's Italian that I could offend on this radio show?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe just every host here. Okay, so now listen.
This is a bit of a mismatch in my opinion, but you never know. That's why you set the bracket. The upsets can happen. Listen,
there was an outcry about many things that Megyn Kelly has said, not just her debate handling, but in other shows as well. She offended a lot of social conservatives. We're getting comments in the chat room right now saying that Megyn Kelly has no business on this bracket, and it's like a 1 seed versus a 16 seed, basically. Who is the number 1 seed in this bracket, Matt, and why?
The CNBC moderators. You cannot overestimate the amount of a train wreck that debate was. They set back the Republic by about 40 years with what they tried to do to American politics that night.
All right, so there you have it. The first bracket in the 2015 Buffoon of the Year. Let's move on to bracket B. Oh, this is just so great. This is one of my favorite brackets because this is the high power bracket. This is the biggest deal. Dare I say, it's huge, folks. The 2016 presidential candidate buffoon bracket. We're breaking it up by party, folks. 1 Republican, 1 Democrat. On the Democrat side, obviously no-brainer. Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders. What can be said here, Matt, that hasn't already been said on this show?
That's the problem with breaking down these brackets. So much has been said. I would like to say that, the hardest probably omission here for any candidate, at least on the Democratic side, was Jim Webb. No one has run a more bizarre campaign for president in modern memory than Jim Webb ran for the Democratic nomination. I don't think he even realized he was running. I don't think he even realized he was in the debates. But he was edged out by someone who's actually willing to say, hey, guess what? I'm a socialist.
And that's probably the best part of it.
That is buffoonery.
And I gotta say, I did consider Lincoln Chafee. I think a lot of us did. Because you want to talk about who am I, why am I here?
Yeah. The Democrats gave us a lot of options, but, there's 2 strong candidates here. Hillary's record speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. Bernie Sanders' record is not as well known. He hasn't been on the scene for as long, At 70-something years old, he's the spunky newcomer. wandering forward on his walker. But we have a great people here with a lot of baggage, and it's really going to be fun to see how that one plays out. But it's really the other side of the bracket that's just really exciting.
Oh, yeah, the other side of the bracket, like I said, is huge. The Donald versus the Doctor. Donald Trump versus Dr. Ben Carson. Again, a controversial matchup coming to us from the conservative wing, quote-unquote, of the party, the outsider wing. Both have said and done some pretty buffoonish things. I think you would agree with that, right, Matt?
Buffoonish? I considered making Donald Trump the Co-100 on the Sharpton scale. That's how buffoonish Donald Trump has been this year. The things he has said, the fact that he lives in a reality that doesn't exist beyond his own brain. It's outlandish the way that he's able to keep saying these things and saying these things and saying these things. But he doesn't have the track record of multi-decade buffoonery that the Good Reverend has. So, I mean, obviously, that means something. But this year, man, this is a strong, strong year. If I had to rate a number one seed for everyone we're going to talk about tonight, my number would be on Donald. But Ben Carson's giving him a run for his money.
And you know what? It's garnering a lot of reaction from the chat room right now. One member of our chat saying Carson upsets Trump. People are saying don't hate on the Donald. There are people out there who are loyalists who may show up and vote and skew the science.
Listen, I'm not saying that the good doctor can't pull the upset here, but that's what it would be. It would be an upset. It would be an upset. But
okay,
that's
so
not to say
obviously
that he hasn't said some really, really, really outlandish things.
So obviously your number one seed and probably number one overall in the tournament is Donald Trump. Is that fair to say?
Exactly, yeah, that's fair to say.
All right. Let's move on to Bracket C. Bracket C, kind of a nuanced bracket, if you will. I think you got to be really politically informed to make a good choice in Bracket C. And we know that our audience is that type of discerning audience that will be able to make the right choices here. Bracket C is all about major mayors.
Yeah, we have the smartest and best-looking audience in all of radio. I mean, that's just the way
smartest,
it is.
best-looking, richest, the whole thing.
So great.
So here we go. Bracket C, the mayoral buffoons. Only mayors need apply in this bracket. So in our first matchup, of course, the mayor from the People's Republic of New York City, Bill de Blasio, whatever his name is, versus the mayor of San Francisco, Ed Lee. By the way, Matt, did you know that our listener base is pretty huge in San Francisco? Shout out to all our fans behind enemy lines in San Francisco that join us. We love you guys. Keep tuning in. We stand with you in your fight. Of course, we're talking about sanctuary cities versus the overall general buffoonery of the absentee mayor.
Well, I mean, Mayor Bill de Blasio's buffoonery is policy-based. I mean, the general leftward lurch that he's trying to put together here in New York is very well documented, but there's also a personal level of buffoonery that comes in with it. The fact that he's never on time for anything. He's not even on time for funerals or memorial services. The fact that, Gracie Pigeon reeks of pot. I mean, he brings a personal touch of buffoonery that I don't think the other candidates in this bracket can match, So he has that hidden edge of just both the personal buffoonery along with the policy buffoonery. And it's not even talking about the fact that he's not actually Bill de Blasio.
He's a triple threat. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But
he's
up against a mayor whose policies led to a tragedy occurring, and that's, of course, the death of Katie Steinle, and nothing has been done since in San Francisco, home of the most liberal laws in any municipality, including the People's Republic of New York City.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with his candidacy, as far as I'm concerned here, is that it doesn't surprise you. San Francisco politician does something stupidly and horribly liberal. That's not a headline. That's just a Wikipedia entry. What really drives the buffoonery of this is that, it's a mayor thinking, hey, I got a great idea. Despite the fact that the Constitution exclusively gives the power over immigration, the power over foreign relations, and the power over how to conduct foreign relations to the executive branch, I'm just going to ignore those laws because I feel like it. That's chutzpah-level buffoonery.
All right, comment in the chat room coming to us is telling us that San Francisco's buffoon mayors started with Gavin Newsom, and that Lee is just riding off the coattails of that buffoon. Unfortunately, you got to deal with the buffoon in front of you.
Point. That goes to my point. Is, like I said, San Francisco mayor does something stupidly liberal. It doesn't really shock us. So, the fact that he had to do something that just is so, illegal, unfounded, constitutionally dubious, unsafe, that tells you the level of buffoonery he has that set him apart from the normal of what we would expect from San Francisco.
And the other half of the bracket. Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake versus Houston Mayor Anise Parker. You have a battle of witless wonders here, basically, Matt. The destruction safe zones and all that, and the war on religion, the failed war on religion in Houston.
Well, I don't subscribe to the war and religion stuff. That's just not my thing. But again, men of the people that we are, there's a groundswell of support for that. The groundswell of support of, of what she did, the fact that she was rebuked not just in the court, not just by the voters, but also in the courts beforehand when she tried to, this is the unsung part of what no one remembers about that, is that she actually went and tried to subpoena the sermons of reverends who were supporting this. I mean, if you want to talk about an attack on church and state, if not a war on religion, that takes, a level of buffoonery that, really stood out this year, and that's why she's in the bracket. And then on the other side, you got Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake, and her buffoonery is more of the, wow, I am so in over my head right now. This city is a decaying, decrepit mass of poverty and crime, and I have no idea how to deal with it. And that is what we got going on for this side of the bracket.
People in the chat room, Matt, they're looking already towards a de Blasio Rawlings Blake semifinal. Are we sleeping on Lee and Parker?
I think we might be, but if I had to pick the favorites, it would be de Blasio and Rawlings Blake. I think it really would.
Okay, and the science tells us who's the winner.
They've got bigger profiles nationally, I would say. And our national listeners would know them more.
Agreed. Now, who wins it all?
In this one, I'm going with Willie Wilhelm.
Really? AKA I'm going with Rawlings
Mayor
Blake.
Bill de Blasio.
Rawlings Blake was in the news for a lot bigger deal nationally for a lot longer. De Blasio is huge here. I disagree.
But here's the best part. It's not up to us. It's up to the people.
Yes, indeed. It is all about the people for Buffoon of the Year. The final bracket. We got to get through this segment a little quick. We're running a little long on time, but when you talk buffoonery, you can't set a time limit. You got to let it happen naturally. So The final bracket, my favorite bracket, by the way, probably the hardest bracket for the round of Salacious 16. The newsmakers that were ultimately buffoons. Matchup number 1. My opinion, the number 1 seed overall, the Black Lives Matter movement versus Kentucky's own Kim Davis.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I think that you are sleeping on Kim Davis. I think you're sleeping hard on Kim Davis. That is a woman who, she's not going to be the buffoon of the century, but that is a streaking shooting star buffoonery across the political landscape that she put together here this year. What she did, the way she decided, you know what? Forget the Constitution. Forget the courts. Forget that I've been ordered by the courts several times. I just don't feel like doing my job. That's a level of buffoonery that is just hard to match. And then, she just got that certain, je ne sais quoi buffoonery that you look at her and you see, my God, what a buffoon. I think you're sleeping on Kim Davis.
But then again, on the other side of the coin, the Black Lives Matter movement is a fundamental change of buffoonery, not only in that portion of politics, but for the entire liberal democratic machine. They have candidates bowing down to them, Matt. Bowing down to their buffoonery in the name of soliciting votes.
I would say that's not buffoonery. I would say that's political power. You get people to do what you tell them to do. You got power. You're not a buffoon. Just the fact that
I'm going with the
them
chat room
doesn't
on
make
this,
them
pal. I'm
buffoonish.
going to talk over you and I don't care. The Black Lives Matter movement is the new generation of the Reverend Al. That's fact right there. I like that.
I think we're going to have to, you and I got to disagree. You know, the buffoon of the year thing is not about, it's not about what happens, over time. It's not what happened in the past. It's why the Reverend Al is not involved this year, because he may be the buffoon of the century, but he didn't have a good year. So what happened in 2015? In 2015, Kim Davis was a superstar.
All right, let's get to the other matchup now. The final matchup, making it whole, in the Newsmaker buffoon bracket, Rachel Dolezal, I can't even say her name without laughing, versus Planned Parenthood. Another battle of the Titans in the Newsmaker bracket. The strongest bracket in Buffoon of the Year.
I think in this one, I have a clear favorite. It's Rachel Dolezal. I mean, that there's almost no words, She's like a Michael Jackson video come to life and trying to do political protests. The chutzpah of being a white woman who sued a black college for discriminating against her for being white, then going off and telling everyone in the NAACP that she's black and becoming president of the local chapter, that is pro-level buffoonery right there. That is just the most buffoonish things ever. And the best part was, even after the pictures came out that showed just how white she was, even after her family came out and said, oh yeah, she's a honky. Even after all that came out, she still wouldn't admit it.
Oh yeah, she's
blinding,
obvious.
a blinding and stubborn refusal to accept reality is the hallmark of your epic level buffoons, and she is demonstrating that in spades.
But on the other side, and I'm going to play devil's advocate with you because there's nothing you said I disagree with. On the other side, you have another shocking and astonishing lack of self-recognition with Planned Parenthood. The Center for Medical Progress videos, okay. The lack of self-awareness when talking in quiet quarters, okay. But have you seen their Twitter lately? There are some shocking and amazing things that show a glaring lack of self-awareness coming from Planned Parenthood. The biggest buffoons, in my opinion, I'm going to let you say something in a second. The biggest buffoons, in my opinion, are the buffoons that don't know that they are buffoons. Planned Parenthood doesn't know how buffoonish they are.
I agree with you. That a buffoon who lacks the awareness and know how buffoonish they are is just such a great and wonderful gift to humanity, because the comedy that flows from them is just endless. But in this case, I think you're going to have to disagree in that the level of self-awareness, the lack of self-awareness coming from Ms. Dolezal is epically higher than what's coming off of Planned Parenthood. So on this one, I think Dolezal is just such a stronger candidate.
And the bracket is complete. But wait, there's more. We also have, I mentioned it earlier, there's going to be an honorarium. A moment that will last a lifetime for one buffoon that was not mentioned. We are christening the first ever Reverend Al Sharpton Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award for buffoonery. And there are 3 nominees. All of them, probably at the end of their career, a time to recognize and respect a lifetime track record of buffoonery. Your 3 choices are Joe Biden, John Boehner, and Eric Holder. Everybody's computer just exploded. Did you hear that? Everyone's computer exploded with the level of buffoonery.
All I heard were squeals of joy from the people who realize that they get to work and decide and vote on these 3 epic buffoons one last time.
It's the final go-around for one of them. I mean, listen, John Boehner's exiting the stage. Eric Holder's exiting the stage. Joe Biden ended his political career by saying he wasn't going to run for president. This is it. This is, I mean, does everybody remember one shining moment from the telecasts of college basketball? It's time for their one shining moment.
I agree. I think we're seeing in the chat room a strong spirited argument that there, a lot of people saying, "Oh, no question, oh, no question." There's a question, people.
There's a strong question out there.
There's a strong question out there. Because you have different styles of buffoonery here. You have Joe Biden's, who knows what crazy thing he's going to say next style of buffoonery versus John Boehner's, holy crap, what else is he going to pull politically style of buffoonery, and Eric Holder's, how much more contempt for the Constitution can I have style of buffoonery. It's really just, it's unfair to have to give it to one, but, these are the decisions you have to make.
Absolutely. He's Matt Fairley, ladies and gentlemen. He's the 2015 Reverend Al Sharpton Fellow from the Behind Enemy Lines Institute for the Examination of Buffoonology and Existential Research. Matt, your work will not go unnoticed in the ranks of the science of buffoonology. We all thank you for your dedication, for your efforts, for your serious lack of time management for spending so much time on this. Thank you, sir, for all you do.
It helps not to have kids. Thank you. It's been
all right,
my
Matt.
pleasure. Thank you for having me on, buddy.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, sir. And we'll definitely have you on when we finally decide who America has for Buffoon of the Year. Time for a quick break, folks. When we come back, we're going to talk to Dan Gaynor from Media Research Center. We're going behind some enemy headlines with Media Research Center and Newsbusters. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines, will be back right after this brief word.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Baradelli, back behind enemy lines, and we unveil right now our brand new segment here, Behind Enemy Headlines. And we do it thanks to our new relationship with Newsbusters and our good friend Dan Gaynor. Dan, how you doing, pal?
Doing great. If media bias is job security, then I've got a job until about 35:15. So I'm set, man. I could be immortal and have this job.
May we all live to see that day. All right, so listen, what do you got for me this week? The two stories, obviously, that are dominating the news cycle, such as it is, are, of course, the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado and that dreaded climate change hysteria that the media just seems to fall in love with. So let's start with Planned Parenthood. Let's talk about the coverage in Colorado and how basically the left lost their head.
Well, even before the shooting, we saw, the left has basically lined up in lockstep for Planned Parenthood to the point where Scandal, the ultimate lefty TV show right now, put out by Shonda Rhimes, and got Kerry Washington, and they're both big Obama people, both big liberals, hold events for the left and such. They had an episode wherein the lead character, Kerry Washington's character, who's pregnant by the president, even though they had an affair, she has an abortion. And while she's having an abortion, you hear this rant by her father ranting, about how family isn't good for you, family holds you back. And then, of course, all to these strains of Silent Night. That's how the left feels about abortion. Abortion is a sacrament. Abortion is a religious thing to them. Killing babies is okay. So when the shooting happened, naturally, they've got to blame everybody on the right. Oh, my God. Anybody who's ever said anything talking about killing babies, they're probably freaking out right now that I'm saying this. Talking about killing babies, oh, you're evil. Your language is bad. Chuck Todd talked about the hateful rhetoric coming from the right on Sunday. He used the term hateful rhetoric 3 different times. He did rhetoric once. That's the topic of all the news outlets. Suddenly conservatives are making this happen. Yet amazingly, we're all to blame for one whack job shooter, but when you've got a global operation run by radical Islam, whether it's Al Qaeda or ISIS or anything like that, with people around America, around Europe, around the Middle East, all over the world taking action, suddenly the group actions don't apply. When 2 people tried to kill free speech speakers in Texas, in support of ISIS, tried to kill Pamela Geller and other people attending a free speech event, what did the media do? They blamed her. They blamed Pamela Geller. They pushed her on this, but, aren't you causing this? No. I'm sorry. No, you're not. This is not. We're still a free country. We even allow people to buy Mein Kampf. We allow Nazis to march in Skokie. People get free speech, but the left doesn't believe in free speech anymore. They're going on college campuses to take it away. They're operating the media. They want anybody who disagrees with them silenced and defunded. It's a 2-pronged attack, and so the Planned Parenthood opportunity means that you can go to any lefty website right now and find, some sort of screed talking about how Planned Parenthood, the hateful rhetoric, even The Week, which isn't really all that far left. The Week's they get one of their writers talking about this, blaming the rhetoric. Salon, which is possibly one of the most unhinged sites known to mankind, got tons of stuff like that.
And it's funny, they blame the rhetoric, yet one person on the right tries to blame Islam for the rise of a radical element within it. And of course, everyone's saying you're a bigot, you're a racist, and the names and the ad hominem attacks start flying. And this is a perfect example of hypocrisy, because now the shoe's on the other foot, and it's the entire movement that's wrong, and you're going to lump in even the more moderate people. There is such a thing as peaceful pro-life. I mean, come on already. It's the worst example, and probably the most blatant example, of hypocrisy that came out in the last news cycle.
Well, and not only that, the officer who was killed.
Yes.
Pro-life. They don't want to talk about that. It's a pretty easy call to say shooting people, particularly shooting innocent people, is not pro-life. I'm not really sure how the media don't get that. That that pro-life people are opposed to that, and that some whack job, you can look at his photo. It's interesting. CNN had on, I can't remember her name, a commentator who goes on to talk about, she's a criminal commentator. talk about crime and investigations and stuff like that. And they immediately turned the segment. She said she wouldn't talk specifically about individual criminals. She blames the media for hyping their crimes and says that's the reason why they do this. That's why we have such a rise in these kind of criminals, because of media. They violated what she agreed to do. She calls them on it, and then they deny it. They said, well, we didn't actually talk about the individual criminal. That's what they spent the whole segment trying to do, including the little chyron, the words in front of the speakers appearing on there with the guy's name, specifically the thing she was guaranteed they wouldn't do.
Unbelievable. But that's what you expect from, the Communist News Network. Let's transition real quick because, of course, the global warming conference, the global cooling conference, the climate change conference was also big in the news cycle this week. I don't know what they call it anymore. They're going to come up with another neutral name to, again, change the theory as to what they're actually trying to prove that is actually impossible, but whatever. How was media coverage of climate change this week?
Oh, it's so over the top, so ridiculous. You would act like, I feel like I'm watching news coverage from the movie Armageddon, where you're like, oh, the meteor's only 6 days away from us. Run, hide. You can't hide from it. It's destruction. Network spent 15 minutes the first night. ABC, CBS, and NBC, evening news, 15 minutes. CBS did it again tonight. Huge piece. They only show the stuff they agree with. So they go to countries, see, this country's doing this. They went to Norway and showing how they're using electric cars. They don't talk, of course, about how these countries get their electric power. The United States gets about a third of its power from coal, which the left is at war with. In fact, the left and the media hate 90% of the kind of energy we get and we use. They have these fantasies that we're somehow going to turn around and take solar and wind and ramp them up, even though we don't have the battery capacity, even though, guess what? Wind stops and the sun goes down at night. What are we supposed to use for power then? We're supposed to live in caves? They cost millions of lives in the rest of the world every year by advocating against reliable electric power. And the media, they don't ever want to talk about the reality of what they're pushing for. Instead, we just get full-on propaganda. Oh, my God, the world, this will save the world. Forget that Obama can't even legally agree to what he's trying to agree to. Because we have law, Constitution mandates certain things about treaties. They just want to force everything.
Let me tell you, that pesky Constitution gets in the way all the time, man. I don't know what we would do. We gotta get rid of that thing just to let Obama do what he needs to do, right? Here we go again.
You sound like Ezra Klein.
There you go. But here we go again. International pressure on domestic policy is being more respected than the average American on the ground that has to earn a daily wage from these industries that are being threatened. Why does the media always side with pressure outside of America rather than getting behind stories about how the American worker is being hurt?
Well, I think at the basic level, the left and the media don't love America that much. They don't believe America does that many good things, and when it does, it's only when it's doing left-wing things. So, when it agrees to what Europe does. They don't ever talk to you about how Europe has vastly more restrictive abortion policies, for instance. They don't talk about that. Because that's the area where the Americans are right. So it's basically, there's no standard. It's whatever the left thinks is right, the media agree with, and that's the standard. And so, okay, you've got a job, you live in Appalachia, you live in West Virginia or Tennessee, or maybe even Wyoming, so many places, you mine coal. Oh, well, you don't care. You don't matter because you're white. Oh, well, the media don't care about that. They got little check boxes. What do they care about? The front page of the style section, Washington Post today, had a story on an actress who is transgender and a former sex worker. So, that's multiple check boxes there. You got, what race, what LGBT, transgender, okay, former sex worker, yeah. Oh, you're a white actress? They don't care. Unless you're liberal. Then if you're Amy Schumer, they love you because you're not funny. You're simply out there to be a left-wing provocateur. So that's their position. Anything they agree with is great. If you're a proponent of their position, you're wonderful. If you're an opponent, you're evil.
Well, let's talk about some of those evil opponents. Who is currently public enemy number one when it comes to the lamestream media? Who's been the biggest target that you've seen recently?
Well, I mean, I think certainly they want to take down Trump. But that's very obvious that they want to take down Trump. But they aren't stupid. They're liberals and nutty, but they're not stupid. So right after Trump, they are afraid that the inheritor of Trump's votes and the more likely candidate, if Trump leaves the race, is Cruz. So it's sort of like a 1-2 punch. I think that's who they want to go after.
Well, there you go. And that's a great rundown of and this is just a small sample of the hypocrisy out there. We didn't mention the New York Times. We didn't mention Matt Lauer. We have mentioned a whole host of other issues. Unfortunately, it's only such a short segment. But all that can be covered and can be read by our audience at newsbusters.org. Why don't you tell everybody about the website there, pal?
Oh, well, that's our very popular website. I know that because Drudge links to it a ton and lots of other people do. And it's an intersection of all things media and media bias. So it's both news and entertainment.
Absolutely. I check it every day. And that's not just a put on for the segment. I literally, it's on my morning read every morning to go to newsbusters.org, check out what's going on, get a little upset, and then get motivated to get on with the rest of my day. Dan, thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk to you again in the new year, and we'll see what the new year brings as far as the continuing battle against conservatives in the media.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, folks, that was our friend Dan Gaynor, Media Research Center, and Newsbusters, talking about liberal hypocrisy behind enemy headlines. Time for some final thoughts, folks. I'm going to turn a little personal to the show and talk about a little policy. I want to first thank our new sponsor, Liberty Health Share, for coming on board the Behind Enemy Lines family. Guys, Liberty Health Share is something we all need to check out. Go to joinlhs.org to learn more about an exciting way to efficiently and effectively manage your own health care instead of farming out your brain to a third party. It's important stuff, and here's why it's important stuff. Those of you who remember in the People's Republic of New York City, the touting of Health Republic, a cooperative, nonprofit alternative to insurance. Well, if you don't remember it, take a listen to this. This is back in June of 2014, when everyone was touting it when the state exchanges came out. And then we're going to talk about what has happened to Health Republic since.
About 1 in 5 New Yorkers getting private insurance through the state's health exchange enrolled with a startup company. According to newly released figures from the state, in its first year of existence, Health Republic has enrolled 70,000 people, giving it the highest market share in the state exchange.
And then this happened this month.
Health Republic customers in New York will be covered only until the end of this month, but many are reporting difficulty moving on. For example, they say they can't get termination letters from Health Republic, documents they need to enroll with a new insurer. Health Republic is one of 23 federally designated health co-ops. It was popular because rates were so low, but that's also why it failed. Customer payments have not kept up with insurance claims. In order to maintain coverage, customers have 10 days to lock in a new plan.
And those clips were courtesy of WNYC here in the People's Republic of New York City. Guys, it's a failure. It's official right now. These non-profit state co-ops don't work. Why? Because they tried to undercut the market. They became insolvent. There's no money there. That's why companies like Liberty Health Share, privately held self-pay patient programs, are the wave of the future. It's a movement, folks, and I think we all need to get on it. I want to thank Liberty Health Share. You're going to be hearing a lot from them in the coming weeks and months to come. They're going to become a fixture on the show, and we're happy to be on board with them. Heck, I'm even considering signing up myself. But more on that in other shows. Ending of the final thought here, someone in the chat room just mentioned that this is today, that as we're taping this, and this week is the anniversary of what Rosa Parks did. A great American story. If you don't know it by now, come on, folks. You're better than that. It's a time we should acknowledge women's rights, equal rights, and wow. Have we come far enough? Think about it. We're still identifying ourselves racially more so than we are nationally or any other way, religiously, culturally, what have you. Yes, we've come a long way. We have a longer way to go. Maybe we should take today and remind ourselves that, yes, civil rights has come a long way, but there's still much more to do, much more to go. I mean, if you want to talk about glass ceilings, I don't tend to talk about things like that. I tend to talk about the feeling and moods of people. And if the Black Lives Matter movement is any indication, and if the pandering of the left towards that movement is any indication, we have a long way to go. That'll about do it for us, folks. Oh, wait, one last thing. Happy birthday to our contributor, friend, cohort, partner in crime, Politichick Mona Salama. Hope you enjoy your day. I'm not going to say how old you are on air. We're going to keep that a secret. But we hope you enjoy your day and you have a pleasant time, have a pleasant celebration. Enjoy yourself, live it up. And we will talk to you soon on air, in person, and have a lot more fun as time goes on. And we're going to have a lot of fun, folks, because of this Buffoon of the Year competition. This is my favorite one ever. Absolutely great bracket. Thank you, Matt Fairley, for helping me set this up. But for now, it's time for the fun to die down a little bit. Voting starts tomorrow, which for those of you listening on podcast, is Wednesday, December 2nd. You're going to have a week to vote for Buffoon of the Year, the Salacious 16 edition, and then we'll start whittling it down in the weeks to come. But for now, folks, from the People's Republic of New York City, Gene Baradelli behind enemy lines. I'm out of here. Good night, folks.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.
The leader in talk radio on the internet. Right here on K98talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.